Nako, habang naiyak ho itong si Senador Pia Cayetano dyan sa Senado, itong si Congressman Lian Libiste, nagpaiyak din ho pala dyan sa House of Representatives. Pinaiyak ho niya itong si Congressman Kimbo, yung asawa nitong si Stella Kimbo, yung appropriation vice chairperson nitong si Saldico, nung naganap yung napakalaking nakawan sa Kaban ng Sambayanan noong 19th Congress. Isang like at isang subscribe. Masaya na ho tayo dyan at sa mga gusto sumali sa ating community, yung join button nandyan lang ho sa baba. PH, kailangan ba talagang i-remind ang ating mga kababayan na yan si Kimbo, yan ang vice chairperson ng appropriation nung panahon itong si Martin Romualdez. Nung panahon itong si Zaldico sa pumumuno nitong si Martin Romualdez dyan sa House of Representatives noong 19th Congress? Ang sagot, oo. Dapat natin lagi rini-remind ng ating mga kababayan kung sino-sino yung mga magkakasama noong mga panahon na talagang parang tubig na umaagos sa talon. Yung pagnanakaw nila sa Kaban ng Sambayan ng Pilipino. Wala akong iba yan noong 19th Congress. Yan nung si Congressman Kimbo, asawa ho yan noong si Teacher Stella Kimbo. Panoorin nun natin ang pagpapayak nitong si Congressman Lian dyan sa isa sa mga aso ni Martin Romualdez at nitong si Marcos Jr. dyan sa House of Representatives. Game.
Mr. Speaker?
Naku, yun na. Let's
Good
go.
evening, Leon. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chair, in our hearings, the DBM said that with a 20% cut on non-essential MOOE, they would generate around 25 billion pesos in savings. Is that correct?
That is correct.
May I clarify if there's been any update on these plans?
On the amounts,
Yes.
so far with the agencies reporting, because the system is the implementing agencies will submit their reports in compliance with the DBM circular. So far what they've been able to generate is 11 billion in terms of commitment.
And what percent is this cut in non-essential MOOE? Is it still 20%?
Earlier we were informed that it was close to 80%.
There's going to be an 80% cut in non-essential MOOE.
No. 80% of the agencies have submitted their commitment to reduce non-essential MOE. But the target there is 20 billion. And I am informed that a number of the large agencies have yet to submit their reports, which their deadline is the end of this month.
So this is on the purpose of reporting, but in the purpose of what is the requirement, there is no moving from the requirement of at least 20%.
That's a floor.
Yes.
Meaning that's the minimum that they should do.
Yes.
If they can do more, why not?
May I then clarify the purpose of having in Section 30A, line 33 of the bill, that the cut in non-essential MOOE will be 10%, at least?
Yes. So the 20% is in reference to the DBM circular. So the DBM circular actually referred to 10 to 20%.
Yes.
So,
and-
but in terms of implementing the as a law, the DBM was of the distinct impression or position that we should peg it just at 10%.
Yes, I'm only referring to the DBM circular so that we have a reference on what is, in their opinion,
Potentially.
feasible.
Yes.
But after all, it is our prerogative in Congress to impose what the members of Congress see fit. And would you not agree, Mr. Chair, that the more that we can save in non-essential MOE, that we can then give to the people, the better?
That is correct. But the position of the DBM is that today we can generate 20%, but again, we are creating a framework. If we put 20%, we don't know what the situation is in the future, meaning are we in a better cash position? Will we have a bloated budget? Will there be more leeway? Based on what they're saying is if we are to codify the non-essential savings, they feel comfortable at putting it as a floor price of 10%.
To put in context, what is the non-essential MOE that we are discussing? If I'm not mistaken, it's around 150 billion pesos in line items, which 20% of which for the rest of the year that they computed was around 25 billion pesos. Is that right?
That's 150 billion, you're correct.
Yes, and this 150 billion that they identified includes 28 billion in traveling expenses, 14 billion in representation expenses, and other such similar truly non-essential expenses. These are not essential expenses. By definition, they are the non-essential expenses.
So line 36 on page 25 specifies what these are.
Yes, and
Foreign and local traveling, expenses, training, seminars, workshops, scholarships and conferences, representation expenses, fuel, water, electricity, and other utility expenses, supplies and materials expenses, professional services, consultants and technical assistants, and general services, advertising expenses, printing and publication expenses, and other similar MOOE items.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And that is a total of 150 billion pesos,
We are informed, yes, that is correct.
of which, as mentioned, traveling is around 28, and representation is around 14, and there are seminars and these other expenses that you have discussed. And I would like to ask if it would be reasonable that we ask agencies to impose a larger cut on their non-essential MOOE, considering that I think it appears on its face unnecessary that amidst an economic crisis, we maintain at most 90% of the 150 billion pesos of non-essential MOOE.
Well, first, many of these items have already been expended, considering that the crisis took place in the last part of the first quarter. They've been already obligated or in fact spent. Secondly is the DBM is of the position that the 20% based on their circular today is really just the floor. In fact, some agencies are submitting more than that, based on what they are receiving from the field. So agencies are encouraged to even come up with a higher amount. But obviously, I think many agencies will feel like it's going to be a tug of war, because many of the agencies will feel like that what may seem non-essential is very essential to them, particularly in terms of training, in terms of talent development, of talent retention. But as we said, there is an emergency, there is a national crisis, then certain things will have to be prioritized, and this is effectively not being prioritized at the moment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm trying to be constructive, and I think that this is a point that everyone would agree on if asked that amidst the crisis, is it really essential that we spend 28 billion pesos on traveling expenses?
Grabe naman yan. Grabe naman yun. Hindi na huwata makatarungan yun. Nasa kalagitnaan tayo ng krisis tapos ganun kalaki traveling expenses. Ang binabanggit nitong si Congressman Libiste. Ang kakapal talaga ng pagmumuka. Mga walang nga kayo. Tsaka ayun ho ba kayo doon sa figure na yun na sinabi nitong si Kong Lian? Traveling expenses ng mga walang nga.
And rather than cutting the traveling expenses budget, for example, if it's 28 billion, by 2.8 billion, can we cut the traveling expenses of 28 billion pesos by a little more than 10%?
Yari tayo dyan. Yung mga mag-Europa, mag-Amerika. Paano na yan? Yung iba pupunta sa buwan. O yung magta-travel kasama yung mga kabit nila. Paano ba yan? Anak ng toko. Pwede naman. Ba yan?
We will, that's part and parcel of what's happening in the field today. I just need to stress also that traveling expenses based on what I discovered, because I was of the impression that it referred to traveling abroad. In fact, a bulk of it is really transportation domestically. More than 94% or 95% in fact is travel domestic, meaning gasoline expenses for appraisers, individuals who are required to really travel from one point to the other. So yun po pinanggagalingan. Pero patuloy po natin silang kukulitin dyan kung ano pa po pwede nilang magawa. But again, like I said, it's also going to be dictated on the demand side, how much is actually needed for us to effectively address the energy crisis. Then we will have, the executive will have to keep shaking the tree so that more fruits will fall. And again, it becomes a political activity on the part of the executive.
Yes. In our previous committee hearing with you, Mr. Chair, I gave the example and you concurred that we should in fact impose cuts on the seminars that the DILG has barangay officials attend, which I learned from the officials from my district. They spend maybe 40,000 pesos per barangay captain to attend a seminar. And I think if we put it in context of these concrete examples, we can see that these are not really essential. And by the very definition of this bill, these are the non-essential expenses. We don't need 40,000 pesos per barangay captain to attend seminars amidst this economic crisis. So could I ask that you be open, Mr. Chair, that we increase the cut on non-essential MOOE from 10% as proposed in this bill?
Just to address the point of our colleague, Mr. Speaker, is that in fact the DILG has already imposed a restriction on many of these seminars of our local government officials. Many of these gatherings have already been canceled, national conventions for that matter, or even regional conventions. In light of the call of the President as well as the DBM to be able to set aside these items. So it's already happening as we speak.
Yes, and I'm sure they will also argue that this bill's mandatory cut on non-essential MOE is unnecessary because they will do it beyond this required amount anyway. But as you were saying, you need to shake the tree to impose cuts that they otherwise would not do. And so I am asking if you would not agree, and I hope you would agree, that we can ask for more than at least 10% on the cut on non-essential MOOE. And that I hope you can express your position as a member of Congress, and one that is not necessarily the same as these other agencies, because certainly incentive of an agency is to protect their budget. The incentive of us as members of Congress is to serve our constituents.
I'm personally inclined to agree with the position. But as in fact, let's not forget that the executive does not in fact need this provision. They can do it on their own and they're already doing it. We are simply putting in the provision here as a manifestation of the strong sentiment of Congress that this is one item that needs to be reduced. And they're already doing it. In fact, it's more than 10%. But I don't want us to get out of the thinking that this is a framework. We don't want to codify limits that are only applicable today. The Kalinga is a framework that will be used for the next years. And if we do that, we might be tying the hands of the executive. So, but like I said, the executives in fact already in agreement with you. They're already doing 20%.
I keep on wanting to ground this in real examples so that we can appreciate how easy it is to cut it by more than 10% and why cutting it by much more is very reasonable. I don't want to go into the details of how Congress spends its 18.58 billion pesos MOOE for 2026, but I think we have firsthand experience that certainly there is room to cut the MOOE of agencies across the Philippine government, starting here in our own House of Representatives. So I'm asking, Mr. Chair, if in the period of amendments, you will agree that we increase the at least 10% cut in the non-essential MOOE.
Yan. Dapat tanggalin na yan yung mga non-essential MOOE kagaya ng pambayad doon sa mga kabit, di ba? Yung pang-travel sa mga kabit, pambili ng bag ng mga kabit, di ba? Yun dapat tanggalin yun. Yung pagbayad doon sa mga babaeng pinaparada nila sa opisina ng ibang mga congressman, gano'n, dapat tanggalin. Hindi na dapat kasama, hindi na dapat ang sambahin ng Pilipino magbayad dyan sa mga yan. Di ba, kung Kimbo, dapat yung mga kabit, sa bagay, kaya nga pala sila nag-congressman, yung ibang mga nag-congressman dyan, talagang para lamang makalibre sila sa kabit.
Like I said, it's something that is worth considering. We will consult with the DBM, and at the appropriate time, we will address the concern.
But if I'm not mistaken, the period of amendments will follow this today. And I would like then, hopefully this to be adopted in the period of amendments today, that we increase the non-essential MOE cut from 10%, if I can just give a number now on the floor. I think, given we've grounded this 150 billion pesos of non-essential MOE onto things that are really non-essential, as identified by the DBM, then even 50% of a cut on non-essential MOOE is reasonable. But if you'd like to counter-propose a lower number after this interpellation, then I'm open. But I'm not doing this because the savings goes to me. It's savings for the country. And I hope all of us would agree that we should cut as much of the non-essential MOOE as we can. And
Yung mga maintenance and other operating pambayad ng mga kabit, dapat tanggalin na yan. Diba? Ito naman si Kong Kimbo. Oo, umao ka na lang. Yung mga non-essential sa MOOE, pang travel, pang shopping, pang kabit, titigil na yan. Kanya kayo sa house.
I hope we can discuss
Kapal
what the
na mukha
precise
nyo.
number should be after this interpellation. Doesn't need to be now on the floor.
Like I said, we will consider that at the appropriate time.
Ayaw talaga. Ayaw talaga. Dapat talaga yung pambayad doon sa mga kabit nila. Siyang bayan ng Pilipino pa mambabayad talaga. Okay. Tapakan natin. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask again about the suspension on the VAT and excise tax, but maybe I can also discuss this matter
Hindi na maganda yung mukha ni Kimbo dito. Ayun na naman, bat-bat na naman. Mayayari na naman ako dito sa mga ano ko. Hindi ko pwedeng i-dribble tong bata na to. Maalam to. Magaling to. Magmumukha na naman ako si Raul sa social media nito. Sabi siguro ni Kimbo.
with Chairman Kimbo outside of this interpellation, because I'm hopeful that at least on the increase in the cut on the non-essential MOOE, he can agree today to increase it by some amount more than 10%.
I'm absolutely open to it. We will confer with the DBM on what is going to be realistic, considering that a huge sum of that MOE has already been spent by the executive.
Yes, but the percentage is for the remaining expenditure for the year.
Pang executive. Oh, may kabit din. Sila dyan nagkakabitan. Pang executive pala. Ala ko pang kabit ng mga congressman. Oh. Basta tanggalin na yung maintenance and other operating pambayad ng kabit na na fund. Di ba?
Whatever
Yes.
is remaining.
I'm absolutely open to that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Tapos,
Majority Leader.
ayun.
Yeah,
Congressman Marcoleta ho tayo.
Mr. Speaker, with deep privilege to be interpellated by my friend and the better Marcoleta, if I may.
Anong better Marcoleta? Loko-loko ka. Parang binabanata mo yung matandang Marcoleta. Doon pa rin kami, kay Grumpy Marcoleta.
Say so.
It is with great honor to stand along with the dashing and debonair Deputy Speaker, my idol since the 14th Congress.
Does that
Nagbulahan yung dalawang congressman. Page, ano ba? Binabanata mo ba si Sen Marcoleta? Hindi. Binabanata niyo.
mean you're terminating your interpellation?
No, although most of my questions were already asked by the Honorable Nasal. So I have a reduced set of questions, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, while going over the draft bill, I would say that the bill is essentially an ayuda bill to address or to mitigate the impact of the existing fuel crisis. So it's primarily an ayuda-based legislation. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
With due respect, I cannot conform to that position because, in fact, the ayuda portion of the bill is not even 20% of the bill. But if I may just explain, with the indulgence of my colleague, is that what we're really trying to establish here is a framework to be provided to the executive in times of energy emergencies in the future. So hindi lang po para sa taon na ito, kundi sa mga hinaharap pa. That's why nilalagay po natin, hindi nga tayo naglagay po existing frameworks lang tayo ng assistance. Yun ang una. Kasi ang the first thing that needs to be done is obviously to stop the bleeding. What we want to do is in any crisis, particularly oil, we know for a fact that the oil crisis, there is only one basic sector that is really hit, and that is transportation. So, but if we are unable to address transportation immediately, that disease spreads to other parts of the economy, going to food because of logistics. And when food inflation increases, or that is the biggest component of economic inflation. So, what this does is actually not set aside funds. What it does is actually make the first aid or the emergency room activity more structured, less politicized, because we are requiring them to come up with a interoperable database on different sectors, fisherfolk, farmers, jeepney, TODA, TNVS, that are reliable and that are accurate and truthful, which will also show the economic status of each one. So each time there is an energy crisis that takes place again, government's reaction is very automatic. But the other aspects, Mr. Chair, I'd like to point out, really refers to granting the administrator or the executive the power to use its savings to be able to address
Nako, yan na yung sinasabi ko. Gagamitin na yung savings, yari tayo dyan. Wala na ba silang makukuha sa ay bawal pala sa PhilHealth. Ginto, ay di na pala pwede magbenta. Nabisto sila. O savings sa titirahin. Lang yan talaga.
emergency
Administrasyon
measures,
puro pera.
but at the same time to give them also power to suspend taxes. We placed here the power to suspend taxes not only on excise, but also on value-added tax, so that the executive will have more leeway to see how to dampen the effect on our ordinary individuals or ordinary folks. So yun po, hindi lang po siya ayuda.
Thank you very much for that reply, distinguished sponsor. What I mean by raising that question is that by giving ayuda, hindi ko naman po sinasabi ng ayuda hindi importante.
Yan.
Ngunit ito po ay temporary relief lang para sa ating mga nasasakupan.
Yeah.
Ang gusto ko po sanang sagot ng ating distinguished sponsor ay kung paano natin malulutas ang supply disruption ng ating langis, dahil ito po ang pinagmumulan ng problema natin. Nung nagkaroon po ng digmaan sa gitnang silangan, essentially yung supply natin, yung supply chain ng langis ay nagkaroon ng problema. So, tinitignan ko po yung bill. Medyo ako po yung nakukulangan sa provision, sa paghahanap ng solusyon para matugunan yung problema ng paghahanap ng supply ng langis. Ang inaasahan ko sanang sagot, Mr. Speaker, sana nakapaloob din sa bill yung paghahanap ng mga alternative new sources of supply. Halimbawa, dito sa Southeast Asia, exporter naman ng Malaysia, ang Brunei, bakit di natin explore yung posibilidad na magkaroon ng mga panibagong trade agreements sa mga bansang ito, imbes na tayo ay umaasa lamang sa gitnang silangan para sa ating oil supply. Yun lamang po ang aking katanungan.
Tama po kayo. Very valid po ang point ni Mr. Speaker, ni Congressman Marcoleta. Kung titingnan po ninyo sa buong provisions po natin, paulit-ulit po tayo doon na tinutulak o minamandato ang gobyerno na mag-develop ng indigenous. Malinaw po sa Section 20, nakalagay talaga, indigenous energy, renewable energy, and electric mobility support. Itong provision po na section po na ito ay ang patungkol talaga ay kung paano ang ating bansa inuutos ng Kongreso sa executive na lumayo at maging less dependent po sa langis. So lahat po ng itinutulak natin dito ay to address, tama po yung concern ninyo, wala po itong provision na ito dati, pero inilagay po natin ito because ayaw po natin ng pansamantala lamang na pagkilos pagdating sa krisis. Gusto po natin maging resilient ang ating ekonomiya. Sang-ayon po ako sa inyo, kaya nilagay po natin ito dito. So, bukod sa pagtutulak ng indigenous, meaning dito lang sa Pilipinas, sa panggagalingan, binibigyan din natin ng tax incentives ang iba't ibang mga pamamaraan, ang employers, kahit po ang mga pamilya, ang kumpanya, kung sila po ay nagtutulak para po ang kuryente nila ay maging solar or solarization, binibigyan po natin sila. Kung ikaw po ay employer na nagpapautang ng car plan, bibigyan at papahintulutan po namin kayo na gamitin ito bilang deduction sa gross income para i-encourage po sila na wag na pong maging dependent sa krudo. So, halos lahat po dito, pati po yung ating mga tax incentives, ay pagtulak doon sa sinasabi po ni Congressman Paulo Marcoleta na ang kailangan talagang direksyon ay bawasan natin or if at all, to eliminate our dependence on oil. Because once we're able to do that, kahit ano pong gera sa Middle East, kahit anong bakbakan po nila doon, ay hindi na po tayo dapat naapektuhan or kung naapektuhan man tayo, ay hindi po ganun kabigat o lalim ang epekto.
Opo, pero hindi pa po natin masasabi na sa ngayon ay pwede na tayong makahulagpos sa ating dependence sa petroleum products. Ano po ba ang percentage ng in terms of fossil-based petroleum consumption ng vehicles as opposed to EV? Ano po ba ang ratio sa ngayon?
Sa public utility vehicles po na pinakaapektado ang inflation ay wala pa hong 1% sa kabuuan ng public utility vehicles ay electric. So ito isang bagay na kailangan mas ma-address talaga natin dahil ito ang pangunahing tama pagdating sa ating ordinary na mamananakay po.
Opo. Thank you, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Napansin ko po na ang ating panukalang batas ay nakatuon sa mga problemang transport sector related. Halimbawa, allowance, transportation allowance, ganyan, gas, fuel allowance, ganyan. So ito po ay nakatuon lamang sa transport sector. Pero kung tutusin natin, itong krisis na ito is all-encompassing. Apektado rin po dito ang pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin, pangunahing bilihin, tulad ng pagkain. At pagtaas ng utilities tulad ng kuryente. Pwede po bang, is the distinguished sponsor open to amending this bill to accommodate other provisions, halimbawa, other relief like extension of loan payments sa mga bahay, prohibition on increase in rent sa mga bahay at sa tuition fees, halimbawa. Tuition fees, dahil apektado lahat ang middle class dito. Hindi lang, I would like to believe na hindi lang ito transport-related crisis, kundi it's an all-encompassing crisis that we need to address. Na apektado lahat. Hindi lang po ang ating modality sa pagtransport, kundi yung pagkain natin, utilities natin, yung rent na binabayaran ng karaniwang manggagawa, yung tuition na ibinabayad pang matrikula ng mga magulang. Wala po ba tayong provision para sa mga yon at open po ba kayo na magkaroon ng provision para sa iyon? Dahil sa Bayanihan Bill, I believe they covered almost entirely yung pong mga hinanaing ng ating taong bayan nung panahon ng COVID-19.
Mr. Speaker, yung lahat ng sinabi ng ating kasama ay halos lahat nasa Section 15. Page 15, ito ang temporary moratorium on loan, rental, and utilities payments. where the consumer, regardless in fact of the situation of the consumer, is given a 30-day moratorium in terms of payments of principal as well as interest payments. Aside from that, the rental payments are likewise included as part of a grace period over a 30-day period. Electric bills, pag-atas sa ating mga electric utilities, water utilities, telecom, ay meron ding 30-day grace period na ibinibigay. Dahil kinikilala po natin na ang epekto po ng krisis na ito ay hindi lamang po sa transportation, kundi sa iba't iba pang sektor o bahagi ng ating lipunan. Gusto ko rin pong idagdag na maliban sa transportation sector ay malaki po sa ating mga programa ang ating ilalagay po rito ay pagdating po sa pagkain. Ito po ang Section 12 on fuel and fertilizer support na kung saan hindi po natin napagpasyahan po natin na imbis binibigyan natin ng ayuda o pera ang ating mga magsasaka at hindi tayo natitiyak na ito ba'y dinadala sa pagsasaka, ay gagawin talaga nating in the form of vouchers as well as para dating sa fuel discounts para sa kanilang mga traktora, para pagdating po sa logistics at pagdala ng kanilang mga ani para madala sa palengke, including hauling. Meron din po tayo for food producers, hindi lang po ng palay, ng mais, kundi ng aquaculture, isda, pati po livestock, manok, at saka, or poultry, at saka baboy. So kinakover po natin sila lahat na po dito dahil alam po natin na kailangan po silang mabigyan ng atensyon tulad po ng sinasabi ng ating distinguished colleague.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Pero sa binanggit niyo po na ayuda, hindi po nabanggit yung dito, yung educational assistance. Lalong-lalo po ngayon, panahon ng Mayo, ilang linggo na lang, o ngayon, ongoing na po ang enrollment. And the middle class sector is bearing the brunt nitong pagtaas po ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo. Baka wala na po silang nailaan para sa pangmatrikula ng kanilang mga anak. Meron po tayo bang pwedeng ipasok dito sa educational assistance? Kasi kinover natin ang utilities, kinover natin ang pataba, kinover natin ang para sa transport sector, sa mga drivers. Halos lahat po yan, may mga anak na pinag-aaral.
Mr. Speaker, meron po tayong sa Section 11 on Paragraph A na nilalagay talaga natin for low-income and near-poor households. So hindi lang po sa 4-piece, kundi doon po sa mga taong isang hakbang na lang po ay papunta na po below the poverty line. Meron po tayong mga emergency cash transfers na ang in fact pangunahing magiging isa sa mga pangunahing purposes dyan ay for educational. So ito po ang nakikita naming isang dahilan o isang paraan para ma-address po yung sinasabi po nating concern.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Tinitignan ko rin po yung bill. Wala pong specific na amount na naka-indicate sa mga emergency cash transfers, sa mga grants, fuel subsidies, fuel vouchers, fuel cards. It does not specify the inclusions. Ano po ang halaga na ibibigay in terms of fertilizer support, fuel and operating support. Wala pong specific na halaga na nakasaad dito.
Mr. Speaker, ang dahilan po dyan ay natuto na po tayo sa bayanihan na ayaw po natin na one time, big time lang po ang ating batas na ipapasa. Ang nais po natin ay mabigyan ng framework ang ating pamahalaan. Kaya hindi po tayo naglalagay ng mga halaga because several years from today ay hindi na yun ang akma na maaaring halaga. Dalawang bagay ang kailangan i-consider is number one, ano yung actual need or the demand side, ano ba yung halaga na yun. Hindi natin ma-determine today kung ano yung need 2 years from today, kung yung ba'y sapat. Pangalawa, ay kailangan din natin makita kung ano yung available savings na pwede natin makuha ah, para po ma-address yung energy emergency crisis. So lilinawin ko lang po parati is, ang pinagkaiba nito sa bayanihan ay ang bayanihan, ang buong ekonomiya ay talaga nakadapa. Walang makalabas ng sariling mga tahanan, kaya't kinailangan po natin ma-address ito. Ang thrust po ng Kalinga Bill is to address a temporary, short-term crisis, which is energy crisis. So ang ginagawa po natin is binibigyan natin ng framework para mas nakaka-react po ang ating gobyerno ng mabilisan, pero at the same time naglalagay po tayo ng limits.
Pwede naman po natin, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker, na hindi naman natin sasabihin na one time lang tong assistance. Pwede natin sabihin regular emergency cash transfers to qualified low-income and near-poor households in the amount of blank, etc., etc. Ibig sabihin, pwede naman periodic tong assistance natin eh. Hindi naman common nilagay natin yung amount. Hindi naman sinasabi na ito ay one-shot deal lang o one-time, big-time lang, kumbaga, na ayuda.
Yan. Gusto ko yan, yung one time, big time. Maraming ganyan sa House of Representatives. O, kumusta na yung mga bumoto ng yes? Nakawan nyo na ba yung tag 20 million? Di umano. Para dun sa mga bumoto ng yes dyan sa impeachment ni VP. Oh, one time, big time na naman kayo. Marami na naman kayong pambibigay sa mga kabit nyo, mga walang niya kayo. Paldo na naman yung mga congressman. Di umano tag 20 million. Di umano. Base sa mga nababasa-basa natin sa social media. Di ko alam, proyekto yan, ayuda yan, basta 20 million daw. Kung alimbawa, ayuda yan, 20 million nakalaan sa isang distrito ng isang may kabit na congressman. Di ba? Paldong-paldo. Ang dami niyang ipamimigay. Makakapag-grandstanding siya sa distrito niya. Imagine mo, 20 million ayuda. Diba? For later release. Pero balita ko, marami umiiyak. Marami daw umiiyak.
Sa ating mga constituents. One more thing, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. On the earmarking funds for subsidies and direct cash assistance. Section 27 of the bill imposes an additional 5% excise tax on non-essential goods and services, with the tax going towards fuel subsidies and direct cash assistance. Can the distinguished sponsor commit to an amendment that ensures that the collection by the Bureau of Internal Revenue is automatically remitted to the fund for the implementation of the Kalinga program?
Well, even more than that, Mr. Speaker, not only are we agreeing to an amendment, but in fact, the most recent version that we have distributed has already entirely scrapped that provision. So Section 27 is no longer in existence. It has, because after due consideration, we have seen that it is very difficult to implement. So tinanggal na po namin yon.
Okay, thank you, distinguished sponsor. Mr. Speaker.
Hindi pa ba tapos itong mga bulahan na to sa House of Representatives? Dapat pagka naging presidente na si VP Sara, abolish na ang House of Representatives na yun. Ito pag-usapan natin sa comment section. Sangayon ba kayo pagka naging presidente na si VP Sara, abolish na muna to yung wala matagal na tayong binibigyan nitong kasalukuyang sistema natin na to. Kahit paano pa natin pagpapalit-palitin pagka meron na upong adik sa Malacanang. Wala. Kawawa siyang bayan ng Pilipino. Kaya ako, solusyon ko dyan talaga. Kumbaga, buwagin na yung mga dapat buwagin. Palitan na yung mga dapat palitan.
Since the bill is almost entirely about distribution of assistance, can the distinguished sponsor assure na ito pong implementation o yung pamamahagi po ng ayuda will not be politicized or weaponized to favor political allies. Kasi nakalagay po sa ating provision, the LGUs can be tapped to implement the distribution of the incentives or itong mga stipends. What safeguards are in place that will make sure that the Kalinga program will not be politicized or weaponized to favor only political allies and to marginalize perceived political adversaries?
That's a very valid point, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we have placed in Section 8 as a mandate to the executive that it comes up with finally a verified database system that is interoperable, that has common beneficiary registries, and at the same time instructing the executive to develop a system of distribution that will not entail beneficiaries having to be gathered where they have to listen to politicians, so that the executive will now use the existing flow or existing electronic transfer systems. So I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, that we need to ensure that this will not be politicized, and these are the basic items that we have placed, if only to avoid it from being politicized.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Dahil gusto ko rin kasing sabihin na kami, ang aking constituents ay umiinda pagka iniipit ang release ng mga pondo. Katulad po ngayon, yung AIX ko, pati yung tupad ay were put on hold. At pagka ginagawa po kasi yun, yung pag-ipit o pag-hold ng pondo, hindi po yung representante o yung partido ang nasasaktan, yung pong mga constituents. Kaya sana po hindi po maulit ito. Habang ito ating binabalangkas, maging universal yung aplikasyon nito at wala pong sisinuhin kung ikaw kaaliado ba o kalaban sa politika. Dapat po, basta't nangangailangan yung bayan na yun, ay kailangan matugunan po ng kaukulang ayuda.
Sang-ayon po ako dyan. In fact, na-raise na po yan ng Mr. Speaker ni Congressman Marcoleta noong nakaraan. Sabi nga po natin is part and parcel of this very specific section is really mandating the executive to come up with a database system that is not subject to political intervention. At kung ano man ang distribution system na gagawin, ay dapat electronic para automatic kapag nagko-qualify ka dyan sa interoperable, verified database system, wala na pong nakikialam. Diretso na po yan. Kung yan man po ay galing sa DA, yan man po ay galing sa Bureau of Fisheries, galing sa DSWD, diretso na po ito sa beneficiaries, hindi na po dumadaan sa politiko.
Opo, hindi na po kailangan tawagan si Secretary Rex
Opo.
or si Speaker
Opo.
para i-release ang mga pondo.
Opo.
Bakit ngayong mga panahon na to kailangan pang kausapin si Rex? Ngayon pagka hindi ka trip ni Rex, kalaban ka, wala na, naloko na, di ba?
Dahil hindi rin po siya magiging epektibo, sa totoo lang po, kung mamimili tayo. Dahil ang gusto natin pigilan dito is inflation. Ayaw natin tumaas ang presyo ng bilihin. Kapag mamimili ka at merong maghihirap na tao, lalo kung nasa transportation sector yan, maapektuhan din tayong lahat. So that's why we really have to make the response non-political as much as we can.
Thank you for that reply, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor.
Ayun na nga mga kababayan, kahit tayo pa tayo tapusin itong si Kong Marcoleta, tayo natatapos niya sa kalokohan na yan. Dito na natin tatapusin ang ating reaction video kung ninyo sa mga ginagawa nilang kabalbalan sa House of Representatives. As always, mag-ingat po kayo lahat. Maraming salamat sa pagsuporta. Mahal natin ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat mga kababayan.